So good evening. Good evening. Well, that was overwhelmingly enthusiastic. Try that again. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much. Okay, great. So let's start with the question, shall we? What does a property developer do? Don't be shy, just shout it out. What does a property developer do? Build houses. That's always the first answer. Good. Let's put that down there. I don't use, what's that thing called? PowerPoint? Wouldn't know how to use it. I wouldn't know how to begin. What else does a property developer do?
Improve houses.
Improve houses.
Better houses.
Excellent. Improvements. Anything else?
Visualize.
Visualize. Okay, that's interesting. Anything else? People normally move on to sort of build homes, because homes is more evocative than houses, yeah? And then after homes, some bright spark comes up with communities, yeah? Okay, so communities, right? Something like that. Yes, good. One final thing that a property developer does. Come on,
add value.
Don't be shy. Add value. Make money. Thank you very much. That is exactly right. Make money. Good. So I normally take about sort of an hour and 15 minutes to present, but Manni has told me that I absolutely am going to get kicked off here in 15. So some of you may be thinking, who is this person and why on earth should I listen to him? I've been involved in property. I've been a property developer for, it's nearly coming up for 23 years now. I have developed in London, I've developed all over the country. I'm currently doing 30 units in Norfolk. It's quite a fun little project. I've got a part hotel business. We're just finishing off 29 units, which has been quite an interesting journey. You can ask me about that one in the bar later. And I'm also involved in this finance business, Blue Castle Partners. So I hope that you'll just accept that some of the things that I have to say to you in the next 13 and a half minutes have some value. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah? Great. So, the part of property development which is really challenging in terms of money is not the debt bit. Yeah? Because particularly post-2008, there's been this proliferation of alternative lenders, yeah, who are all jockeying for position and trying to deploy their cash into property development. So debt has actually become relatively straightforward if you understand how to present yourself and so on and so forth. Would the developers in the room agree that things have got a bit more straightforward than perhaps they used to be? Yes? No? Yes? Good. So what's the challenging bit in terms of funding a development? It's the cash bit, right? It's the bit that the lenders won't do, right? Now, if you're going to approach a senior lender who is reasonably entrepreneurial, they will probably cover 80% of your total cost. Developers in the room, nodding your heads, agreed? 80%?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can do 80% fairly straightforward, right? Although when I'm pitching my brokerage business, I'll tell you that it's incredibly complicated, a very complex negotiation, and actually you ought to leave it to us. But as I'm not pitching that bit this evening, I won't say that. All right, so the rest of it, the other 20%, okay, or probably more likely 25% of your cost has to come from cash, does it not?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes, good. So where does the cash come from? There are, in fact, 3 distinct pools of what we're going to call this evening. We're going to call it equity, okay? So although we might structure it as debt, we're just going to call it equity for the sake of a word this evening. Everybody understand that? Yeah? Good. All right, so 3 pools of cash. 1, 2, and the big one down here. Actually, we'll call that 1, 2, 3. Any guesses on what those 3 pools might be? Don't be shy.
Investors.
Yes, investors, but they're all investors. But let's sort of categories of investors is really what I'm looking for. Any categories of investors? Anybody want to just throw that out there?
Banks.
10 minutes remaining. Tremendous. Thank you very much indeed. Yes, cash. Okay, so pool number 1 is institutions. Okay? Institutions. Now, the interesting thing about institutions, or in fact corporations, is that if you look at the 100 largest financial entities on the planet, 45 of those are in fact corporations. Yeah? Corporations have become unbelievably wealthy over the last 10 or 11 years post financial crisis, in fact, because what have our governments been doing? They've been printing money like billio, yeah? And has that money gone into your pocket, sir? No, it hasn't gone into yours, certainly hasn't gone into mine, it's gone into all the corporations. We actually have $1 trillion corporation. Yeah, Apple touched $1 trillion, did it not, at some point? I think it was last year, wasn't it? Yeah, so institutions are the daddy, they're the big ones. Goodness me. Do you know what, actually, I was presenting in Leicester the other day and I was gesticulating wildly with one of my pens, and I sensed that I felt that my fingers had got a bit sticky, and I looked down and my hand was actually completely blue. But that was quite appropriate because it was blue hand, blue castle. So it wasn't blue castle, brown hand, as it would be this evening. So institutional money is probably not available to anybody in this room. Anybody here employing 200 staff in their development company? No. Okay, I'm not either. So it's not really available for us. So an outfit like Legal and General, for example, would fund someone like Carla Holmes, yeah? And the great thing about institutional cash is it's quite cheap, actually. Yeah, they don't want a great deal for their money. Because they're into sort of a 50 or 100 year plan, so they probably want 5 or 6% for their money. That would be tremendous for them, actually, fixed income. But they, they're probably the hardest to access because you've got to have scale, you've got to have incredible track record. They are unbelievable control freaks, and it will take you 18 months and tens of thousands of pounds to do a deal with them. So that's probably one to aspire to in sort of 5 or 6 years' time for some genius in the room. Now, man, where are you? Are you here? One day. Yeah, he's not here yet. Okay. Right, so pool number 2, what do you think that might be? Pool number 2.
Private investors.
Private investors. Good, exactly. So we would describe those as retail money. Okay, so we're talking about high net worth individuals. What else?
Crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding, that would be retail money, exactly. What else? No? Sophisticated investors. Yeah, they don't tend to have a great deal of money, but there is a classification for sophisticated. I mean, in terms of the FCA, a high net worth individual has got £250,000, which is not a huge amount of money, is it, really? One expects them to actually increase that number, I would have thought, the way they're going. So look, retail money, they are high net worth, sophisticated, crowdfunding, peer-to-peer, although that's debt, so it's not really relevant. Any way of pooling small amounts of money into a large amount of money. That's kind of retail money, right? Now, the pros of retail money is it's the easiest to access because you need the least amount of credibility, right? So what you tend to have is lots of developers wandering around going, oh, where are the investors? And lots of investors wandering around going, oh, where are the developers? And you just need someone to put them together, right? That's what we do, by the way. So the problem with retail money, and we do know a little bit about retail money because we've raised about 300 million of retail money, is that they are very fickle. Has anybody ever been let down by an investor at the last minute? Raise your hand for me. Only one person in the room. I'm obviously getting something terribly wrong. Is it investors in Slough who are just incredibly reliable? I think actually you're all fibbing to me, and that those of you who have done developments with investors know what I'm talking about. If they haven't let you down at the last minute, it took how many cups of tea to get them over the line? You know? You want to be out there finding sites, right? And then when you've done the sites, you've got to be kicking the builder's arse. And all the time, you've got someone phoning you up saying, oh no, I need to talk about the numbers again. 5 minutes left. Right. Not sure how I'm going to finish in 5 minutes, but there we are. Okay, so type number 3. Any ideas? Type number 3.
My monies.
Hmm?
My monies.
Your monies.
Family, friends.
Okay, that's kind of retail though.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything, and one more categorization of money. These are our favourite people right now, by the way. They're the guys who really do the guys and girls. Sorry, that's terribly sexist of me. Sorry, ladies. They are the ladies, shall we say? Let's flip that on its head. They're the ladies that do the deals. Yeah. Any ideas on the ladies that do the deals at the moment? Okay, so category number 3 is a professional investor. Okay, so that is actually someone that makes their living investing, right? This is actually a categorization from the FCA, and they are exempt from all the latest laws and rules, which are all terrifying, but I won't mention those just yet. So professional investors, anybody ever heard of a family office?
Yeah.
Family office. Does anybody actually know what that is, a family office? Would anybody care to just throw out a definition of a family office for me? Because it's a term rather, that gets bandied around a lot, doesn't it? I met with a family office the other day. It sounds really important, doesn't it? But what does it actually mean? So family office is basically a family that's made a lot of money, yeah? And they basically put together an office, typically somewhere near Green Park, and the people in that office are charged with deploying their money into investments, right? To make them more money, right? And the great thing about them is that they tend to have pots and pots and pots of cash, right? So they're tremendous to target if you know how to, and if you have the credibility, because these guys and girls, these ladies, flip that on its head, come on. These ladies, right, need a lot more credibility than these ladies do, yeah? They need a lot more convincing. They want to see a track record, right? And all sorts of other things that go with it, okay? But that's actually where we come in. That's where Bluecastle comes in. Because we took, is this it? Is this the thing? Yeah. There we are. So we met 14, 15 months ago with a tremendous chap called Rupert, who had 30 years experience as a building contractor and was doing his first development, which was 2 units down in the West Country, okay? And we met with him, and the first thing that we decided, which was super important, was we liked him. This is our first and primary indicator as to whether we're going to jump into a deal with someone. We've got to like you. Because we're going to be with you for the next 2 years doing this deal. We're going to be all over the deal, by the way. And if we don't like each other, we're a long time dead, are we not? Yeah? So we liked him. Secondly, he had enough relevant experience in property to make him backable with our help. Yeah? So I'm going to show you in a moment what he's going to do. But we gave him an extra 50 years of credibility in finance and development that he didn't actually have. Yeah? And the third factor was that he's developing in a town where there's enormous pent-up local demand because it's very difficult to get hold of sites. Yeah? And finally, the deal was incredibly profitable. In fact, we had to dial it down before we presented it to our investors, because otherwise they just wouldn't have believed us. So, and this is actually one of the most beautiful sites I've ever seen. So he's bought this pub with our investors' money, this one here. So we put together 2 million quid of investors' cash for him, and we bought this site here, and we're going to build a restaurant here, and then there's going to be a V shape of flats and houses. Houses along here. One of the houses, I thought I was going to end up with one of the houses myself from my little profit share, but they're now being valued at £1 million each, so it's a little bit out of my budget, unfortunately. So there's going to be 29 flats and houses. So think of that. He's gone from developing just 2 properties to doing 29 units in one leap. That's a hell of a leap, right? And we funded it 100% for him. So that's fantastic. Let's just crack on and see the rest of the pictures. That's the view from the flats. That's Weymouth Harbour. Do you remember the sailing in 2012 Olympics? Yes, all remember that? Yes? Okay, so that's all Weymouth Harbour out there. So you're going to wake up in the morning, walk out on your balcony with your macchiato and look at the ships coming in and out from Weymouth Harbour. Couldn't be better, could it really? And then the other side, you've got Chesil Beach. Who saw the movie Chesil Beach? That bombed, didn't it? That movie. Nobody, well, I've done this presentation a few times. No one puts their hand up. Did you see it? It's on the to watch list. Okay, so Chesil Beach is this incredible sand dune, which goes 10 kilometres along the south coast there. So again, macchiato, balcony, Chesil Beach, Fleet Lagoon, couldn't be better really. Seconds remaining, thank you very much, sir. All right, so how did he do that? How did he go from I'm doing 2 units in a field somewhere in the West Country to I'm doing 29 units with a GDV of 12 million and I didn't have to put any money in myself? How do you think he did that?
You guys.
With Blue Castle Partners help. Exactly right, sir. Thank you very much indeed for saying that for me. Brilliant. Okay, no questions for me? That's later, isn't it? Panel. Okay, you'll have opportunities to ask questions in the panel. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.